You are listening to Insurance Untangled podcast, where we explore the various challenges faced by dental practices due to their reliance on insurance. In this podcast, we dive deep into the issues surrounding dental insurance dependence and offer practical solutions and strategies for reducing your reliance on insurance. Join us as we interview industry experts, share success stories, and provide valuable insights to help you take control of your practice's financial future.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Insurance Untangled podcast. My name is Ben Tuine, and I'm one of the co-hosts of this podcast that's really dedicated to helping practices that are tangled up with insurance and talk about topics that help you take more control and create a better future for you, your patients, and of course, your team members. Today, I have my two co-hosts. I got Naren and Jordan with me. Gentlemen, good afternoon.
Yo,
good
brothers.
afternoon. How are you, Ben? How are you, Jordan?
Doing good.
Pretty good. Did you guys watch that show with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell? It's a musical.
The Christmas one?
Musical.
Yes,
yeah.
it's awesome.
You remember? Oh, you should check it out with your kids. It's so funny. There's a scene where they're kind of, singing a song, and apparently in the musical, when you say good afternoon, that's kind of saying, flipping somebody the bird.
yeah.
It's like, good afternoon. And they get so angry. But check that out. Well, Naren, we're going to be interviewing you today. I appreciate your time and expertise, and we're really looking forward to picking your brain. We're excited to chat with you today, Naren, about if you are not an influencer, don't bother with social media. So we all hear that the best offense is the best defense, especially against insurance. So from time to time, we talk about marketing as it is really the best strategy to be on an offensive attack against insurance. So today's episode is about untangling marketing. Understanding that what works and what doesn't work regarding marketing, I believe, is very crucial. So let me ask you, Naren, as we look at things towards the end of this year, 2023, is social media only for influencers?
Great. Like you said, it's a bold topic and it's a bold question. I think it's a fair question.
Yeah.
And it was not too long ago, I came across the exact same quote from somebody very, very, very famous, out there, like an Elon Musk type, asking this question, like, is social media, of course, referring to specifically Instagram and TikTok, are they only for influencers? Because we all remember Facebook as something totally different. We all had our Facebook pages. We were told to post on those pages. We were told to do business on those pages and all that stuff, right? I think you took the words out of my mouth. Stupid is, I guess, good.
I could say worse words, but I'll keep it clean.
G-rated, sure.
Yeah.
So, and we were taught those things, and a lot of doctors even today follow those quote unquote things they were taught 10, 15 years ago when Facebook was new. But when we look at things in 2023 and going into 2024, the world is so different. I think things really, really changed after TikTok came along. I mean, I'm sure some of you or all of you have used TikTok. TikTok is a machine that's all about getting you addicted. They show you stuff. You figure out what you like. They'll show you more of the stuff that you like. And they'll keep doing it. And I remember when I had TikTok on my phone, I would stay up till 2 a.m. just scrolling through my TikTok. And then Instagram woke up and said, "Oos, we are losing to TikTok. We need to do the same thing." So they did the same thing, which is, it's like if we talk about AI. So they built an AI that studies your brain and figures out what your brain wants. It's like drugs, and then gives you more drugs, gives you more drugs.
But
dopamine, exactly. So whatever the thing that your brain craves, and the reason is their business model is really simple. The more time you spend on TikTok or Instagram, the more ads they can show. The more ads they show, the more money they make. It's really simple. Step 1, get your customer addicted. Step 2, sell them more things to advertisers who want to capitalize on that addiction. Really simple business model, right? So I started thinking about this question maybe a year and a half ago, and I started paying attention. What I realized is, of the clients we have, less than 1% get any patients from social media, and then 99% get nothing. How do we know this? We put call tracking numbers. We started tracking not just what they think is happening, but what really is happening, right? And 99% of the clients get not even 1% of their new patients from social media. So what's going on? And the more I started looking into it, what I realized is the 1%, all of them have minimum 10,000 followers, or in some cases 100,000. All of them are spending 15 to 20 hours becoming celebrities, meaning they are becoming influencers themselves. And that's their life. It's almost like 20 hours a week. They dedicated the last 2-3 years in becoming influencers. Once you're an influencer and you are good at creating those videos that somebody will be addicted to, Instagram and TikTok will show your videos to those people. But if you're not in that 1%, you get nothing. So you could spend 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours posting something, and then 7 people will look at it, 10 people will look at it. And these 7 or 10 people are not even interested because they were not looking for implants or veneers, and you're busy doing all this beautiful videos about implants when they didn't even ask for implants. So the numbers don't convert, right? So when you get 10 people looking at it and only like 1% is even interested, I mean, it's like 1/10 of 1% is interested. So it did nothing for you. So when you really look at what's the bottom line benefit, it doesn't work. So I agree with the statement. If you're not in the 1%, and you are in that influencer group, don't bother with social media.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, Naren, where the use case of social media is not for small business owners, local business owners like dental practices. Where I've seen it work is if you can have a nationwide or worldwide audience listening to your content and a product or service that can serve that nationwide or global audience, right? Where a dental office, at least this is how I think of it, a dental office isn't gonna, if they get TikTok famous because they're doing little dances, right? I follow a lot of dental practices on TikTok,
right?
And they all do little dances, little skits. It's fun, it's entertaining, but why in the world, as a patient, would I be like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go to that practice because the dances are awesome, right? That's not how
I'm gonna fly 10,000 miles.
I'm gonna go fly 10,000 miles to wherever, to Florida, to go see a dentist because they danced really awesome on TikTok. Now, I've considered just being in the industry, flying out to like my buddies' offices, like Gary Takis or Mark Costes down in Arizona, because they're great. They own great practices, right?
Right.
That's why I would want to go travel.
Not because they're dancing on TikTok.
No, not because they're dancing on TikTok. It's because I have a relationship with them, right? I've talked to like Mark Costes' office. I'm like, hey, can you guys help me do with Invisalign? Like, yeah, we can do that. We can even help you do that remote. And then you just fly down and hang out with us for one day, right? I would totally consider doing that because I have a relationship, right? Not because Mark Costes is dancing really cool on TikTok. So I agree. So 1% get unbelievable amount of traffic from Instagram and other social media platforms out there. Others don't get any. So I think I already explained it, but why do you think that is, Naren?
Yeah, I think it's because the business model, right? I kind of alluded to the Instagram, TikTok make money based on minutes spent. So the metric they're focused on is how many minutes can I get my billion people to spend on TikTok this month. The more minutes I can get them to spend, the more ads I can sell. The more ads I can sell, the more money I make.
So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So we got social media organic, which we're talking about, like the dancing. Like, in fact, we should do a TikTok dance together, guys. And that's like organic posting. And then there's social media ads. Do you see a difference within the ads if a dental practice uses like Facebook ads to acquire
that's
customers?
a great question. But before I talk about ads real quick.
Sure.
So the way social media companies make money is based on minutes, and these, what we are calling influencers, right? Those who are creating those videos that are watched by 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, those dance videos or similar videos. So they love that 1%. And like you said, Jordan, correctly, these people have a global audience. They have something to sell globally. Otherwise, they're wasting their time. And then they dedicate the time, right? I mean, to be a global star, you have to give in at least 15 to 20 hours. You have to love being the celebrity. You have to love, putting yourself out there, making a fool of yourself sometimes. Those dances, I'm sure, is
like
not
what I do
in
on the
dental
podcast.
school, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do that. And I think what I'm noticing is 99% of doctors, at least of the doctors we work with, don't want to be that. They don't want to be the TikTok star or Instagram star or be a celebrity. They are private people. They mostly have families and they love healthcare and medicine. And they would rather spend their free time learning about dentistry and learning about something new versus, being a TikTok or Instagram star, right? So that's kind of, I think, what's happening. And I think the world changed. I agree several years ago, if you are on Facebook or Instagram, especially when Facebook first came out, it was very true that if you were to build a Facebook page and if you were to get people to follow you,
there's some SEO benefits.
Yeah, 20% of the people will see what you post. Now, not even 1% see it, because why? Facebook doesn't want to make money. So they would not show your stuff to people unless it's addictive content. And most of us are not good at making addictive content, which is why we are not influencers, in that sense of the word. So I think that's what's going on. So your question is around ads, Jordan.
Yeah.
I do think, so when we look at digital media, there are multiple options, right? One is SEO, which is organic traffic from Google. One is Google Ads, and then one is organic social media. And the only way you can get that is being an influencer, being in that 1%. And the fourth one is social media ads. So those are your 4 options. Now, I'll get to this later in my conversation, but I do think there is a place for ads, but of course it's all relative. Meaning you have to know what's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and then of course create your strategy based on, hey, let's finish number 1 first, and then let's go to number 2, and so forth. But I think it's a good question. Let's park it for now, Jordan.
Sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned Facebook, Naren, and naturally. Well, I remember when Facebook came out, there were no advertisements, right? There was no ads, and it was just more so just a regular social media, just like what was the other one back then?
MySpace.
MySpace.
I had a MySpace account. I still do, actually. It's required when people join our company. We're like, you got to create a MySpace account.
that reminds
That's the torture. That's like the
yeah. So talk about that, Naren, because it seems like the original use of Facebook compared to what it is today is entirely different, right? I guess my question is, when you talk about the different mindsets, or at least the different uses of Facebook back then versus now, what have you seen?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think humans we don't change a lot. So, I know doctors who still ask their patients, how did you find us? That was a wonderful question when you were living in 1997, 1998, because in those days, nobody knew. Even the head of Procter & Gamble didn't know how they got their customers to buy their product. Why? Because in those days, there was no tracking, right? So in those days, how do you find out? You ask your customers. And there's a famous quote from the head of P&G marketing, which is the largest marketing company in the world at the time in 1998. And they asked him, what's your secret to the success? You are running the biggest marketing team on the planet. And he goes, half my marketing work, half doesn't, I don't know which half. I mean, he was being very honest, right? Because you couldn't know. Asking customers is the dumbest thing. But we still ask those wrong questions even today, even though those questions don't make any sense in 2023. Same way, people were taught to do certain things with Facebook when it first came out. Great thoughts at that time based on what Mark Zuckerberg told Facebook is going to be at that time. Of course, it's not what it is today. At that time, it was all about, getting people to use Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg said, hey, open up a Facebook page. I will send you 20% of the people who like your page as visitors. So anytime you post something, at least 20% of the people will see it. Then he wisened up and he became, very successful and, tons and tons of users and all of that good stuff. So now he doesn't need those people to do that because 3 billion people use Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp every day anyways. So he doesn't care whether you use it or not. He's so big, right? So he doesn't need to please you anymore. So now he's like, okay, how do I optimize my business? I already have the billions of people on my platform. Now, how do I make money? And that's where they stumbled on this, game of influencers. So you show content from influencers that gets people to spend more time on your platform. You sell more ads, right? So, but those mindsets doctors were taught those many years ago, they still follow it. They still have a Facebook page. They still post on it, even though nobody's looking at it. I do think you might want to do a little bit of that just to keep the algorithms happy, including the Google algorithms. But I don't think you want to get carried away. The thing that I'm kind of cautioning you against is just look at time or money versus results.
Yeah.
If you're putting a certain amount of your time has money, right? I mean, it costs money, right? But it's your time or your people's time. And then totally it all up, that's your cost. And then look at the results. If the results don't justify it, minimize the time. I'm not saying don't do it at all. I'm just saying put as little time as possible.
I would imagine.
Go ahead.
I would imagine like if you're going to put time in it, like go to like local Facebook groups in your city and state.
Agreed.
And like post valuable content in those types of groups. Maybe there is like a health and wellness group or something in Lehigh, Utah, right, that you can join, or things like that. I would imagine if that's probably more effective than just posting on a page.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even that, the better way to do it is to find an influencer within that Facebook group, or just a regular influencer, and get them to be your customer or your patient, and then have them tell your story. Because cool. That'll come with a lot of course, it takes a lot of thinking, planning, strategizing. It's like, you don't become Oprah, because that's kind of you becoming a celebrity, but you
get a tooth and you get a tooth and you get a tooth. Dr. Oprah.
Exactly. So I think that is a great strategy. And the other reason I think even though a lot of people don't, get any new patients hardly from social media, they spend time team loves to spend time on Instagram. They love to spend time on TikTok. So they convince the doctor to say, hey, well, it's a good thing because I'll do it. So that way they can spend, tons of time on Instagram every day, while at work. So I think part of that is also going on. And, but the way to cut through all this nonsense is to ask for results. Put a tracking number, count the results. If the tracking number is showing you, or the tracking page is showing you it's working for you, then keep doing it. If it's not, say, hey, it's not working. I will still have a Facebook page. I'll still have an Instagram page if you want to, but I'm not going to waste time on it. I'm going to do the minimum required.
Yeah, I know. Like we've tracked TikTok, and we do generate leads from TikTok, but as we mentioned earlier, like it's a lot easier when you have a nationwide product or service that you can offer. I'm looking on TikTok right now as we're talking, and I'm just following all the dentists that I follow. I'm like, man, why are they just dancing? I would imagine figuring out a way to create value to the patient in form of like education or some type of value. Like you got to be creative with that. I think it could work from a local standpoint, but yeah, I'm not convinced though. Like posting on my business page is going to drive any results. All right. Is it my turn to ask a question, or Ben?
I think so.
Okay.
All
good. All right. So if I'm not in the 1%, how would I won't bother with organic social media. We talked about like ads earlier. Like what should my social media strategy be in 2024 as a dentist?
Yeah. So like I was alluding to, there are 3 options for you: SEO, Google ads, and social media ads. And SEO is pretty much, how do you get into the top 5% for free for 100 or more keywords? So in other words, at least for 100 or more keywords, you are showing up in the top 10 results, right? That means you're going to get 95% of the free traffic from Google. So that's option A. Option B is you can run Google ads next to those keywords. So let's say you are not in the top 5% to get the free traffic from Google, then you have no choice but to give Google money to run ads, right? You bid for certain keywords. You say, I'll pay $4, $3. Google will, and then you put a budget, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, and Google will keep showing those ads till your budget is met, so till you get the number of clicks. So that's option B. Option C is social media ads. So you can just go to Instagram, set up an ads page. So if you are going to any traction from social media, to 99% of the doctors, that's really the only option, which is running social media ads. But the issue is you need to know cost versus investment. As a business owner, you want to invest in the things that are costing you the least for the same outcome versus costing you the most for the same outcome, right? Like, you can buy a cup of tea for $1, the exact same cup of tea, if you can get it for, if you have to pay $10, right? Why would you pay $10 for the exact same cup of tea, right? So that's the question. Like, where
if I'm rushing out of the airport and they have a little store and it's $10. I just did that on the way back to New York. I paid for like a sandwich was $17. I didn't realize it was until after. I'm like, and we were rushing right to get to the gate. I'm like, I'm starving.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I would pay that, right? It's the positioning of where that product is.
100%. Yeah, of course. But are you going to do that day in and day out?
I would never do it day in, day out. No, it was just a
right?
rare circumstance. Yeah.
Exactly. So I totally get it. So I think that's a good way to think about it. The ones that are expensive, do it rarely and only if needed. Don't do it day in and day out, because you could lose a lot of money if you're going to buy $15 sandwiches every day. So absolutely.
That's awesome. I'm going to cheat a little bit here, Aaron, and because you kind of went through multiple different options for marketing and costs and things of that nature. I'm gonna bring back Jordan's question. Can you compare the cost difference between these various different marketing options that you're talking about?
Absolutely. That's a great question. I think the key to compare costs is to compare, make sure we are talking about the same apple. Like, we can't compare cost of an apple versus an orange. You have to compare the cost of the same apple in multiple places, right? So in this case, let's take the sandwich. Or in the case of dentistry, let's say we're talking about a new patient, a general new patient, right? What's the cost of that patient on SEO versus Google Ads versus social media ads, and of course PPO plans. So typically I have seen SEO, once it's optimized and running well, you're in the top 5%, should cost you no more than 20% of Google Ads. Good SEO that has been running for a couple of years would only cost you 10% of Google Ads. Now, social media ads are typically 2 times more expensive than Google Ads. How do I know this? We track everything and then we compare apples to apples, right? So once again, social media ads are 2 times more expensive than Google Ads. SEO is 1/5 the cost of Google Ads. So I think SEO is by far the best. And the reason for that is, it's 2 things: intention and trust. People who are using Google type in a keyword.
It's pull marketing. It's pull marketing. You don't have to push an ad out. It's pulling people to you. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're looking for veneers. So you are only showing up organically when they look for veneers, if that's the service you provide. So it's pull marketing, like Jordan said. So definitely in pull marketing, it works a lot better because you're not wasting time with all the other people who didn't even care about veneers. You're only showing up to the people who care about veneers. So that's an advantage SEO and Google Ads both have. But the problem with Google Ads is there's no trust, meaning it's an ad. We all know it's an ad, so we don't trust it. So the average person will only spend 15 seconds if they come through a Google ad versus 90 seconds if they come through SEO. Now with social media ads, the average person will only spend 5 seconds. A, it's an ad, so they don't trust it. B, it's not pull marketing, like Jordan said, it's push marketing. So for every person who's interested in veneers, there's going to be 97% who are not, at least in that moment. So what they do, they click out. So they click out in 1 second, and the 3% will maybe spend a minute or 2. But when you average it out, it's only like 5 seconds per person. So, I mean, math is math, right? 90 seconds versus 5 seconds, there's an 18x difference. 90 seconds versus 15 seconds, there is a 6x difference. That's why the cost differential, in terms of why social media ads are the most expensive, then Google Ads, and the lowest cost is SEO. But all of these pale in comparison from a cost standpoint with PPO, right? Because PPO plans, you're giving up 45 to 50%, not only on that first visit, but for the life of that patient. So that patient is there with you 10 years and they spent $7,000 with you in the 10 years. You are giving the insurance company $7,000 in marketing fees over those 10 years, right? So it's by far the biggest, which is kind of what most people are on. And that's why this podcast is called Insurance Untangled. So know the difference in cost. So you can beef up on the best option, which is Google SEO. And then once you top that up, then go to the next one, which is Google Ads. Once you top that up, then go to the next one, which is social media ads. Of course, if you have a national product like Jordan alluded to, and if you're willing to be a celebrity, go after organic social media. But remember, 1% of you will succeed with that. How do I know that? 17 years of experience and looking at hundreds of clients.
Yeah, sure. No, that's really interesting. So, Naren, what should a practice owner do if they want to dominate SEO? Like, we know it's the cheapest and probably the most affordable and easy way to get patients because it's pull marketing. So what should a practice do?
Yeah, like I alluded to, you have to be in the top 5% because 95% of the traffic goes to the top 5% when it comes to SEO. So how do you get into the top 5%? You do 6 things: NAP, Google Lighthouse Score, Google Eat, original content, quality backlinks, and Google reviews. I think we did an episode on this. We'll put a link so you can listen to the entire episode where we go through each one of those 6. I just try to get better and better on those 6 things till you get to an A, and then you keep an A. That's the key. Like, you need to work on it day after day in these 6 areas, and then get to an A, and then continue to get better even within the A. So let's say instead of being 90%, try to get 91%. 90 instead of being 91, get to 92. So try to get closer to 100 in all 6, and you're going to crush it. So that's the secret. It's just at a theory level, it's really simple, but doing it is a lot of hard work and takes a lot of discipline. So as long as you have the discipline and the hard work, this is doable.
Thank you, Naren. Something's been bothering me since it was first brought up by Jordan, and that's I don't know if it's pole marketing or pool marketing, like pole, like a stripper pole, or pulled pork. Jordan, I think when you first mentioned it, I thought of pole, P-O-L-E.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
that might be a good type of marketing for some people,
as opposed to push.
Pull.
Okay.
There's pull and push.
Pull
and push marketing.
Oh, pull, like pulled pork.
Pull. Yeah, like pulled pork. Yeah. Let's talk. I love that it's a food and meat analogy.
I'll reserve my comment for later. It's probably inappropriate for the podcast, but
yeah, let's just have a barbecue. We'll talk about pulled pork. Yeah,
there you go. So, Naren, I think our listeners will be delighted to hear your opinion on spending, and quite frankly, I see this a lot, wasting a lot of time and efforts on social media, thinking that they're still going to get, the traffic like the good old days when social media didn't have what it has now. In terms of all the money driven model and things of that nature. When it comes to influence marketing, different game today than it was before. So if we have any listeners out there that want to talk about what you recommend with regards to SEO and how to dominate Google, where do you recommend that they start, Naren?
Yeah, one of the things we do at no cost to anybody who's the listener of Insurance Untangled is what's called a marketing strategy meeting. And prior to the meeting, our team would spend 6 hours kind of finding out where you stand when it comes to SEO. Are you getting an A in these 6 things you need to dominate if you want to do well with SEO? If you're not, what you need to do to get there within 12 months. How are you doing when it comes to landing pages? Are people picking up the phone and calling or not? So give you a complete report card and a comprehensive plan. So that's our gift to you, $900 value. The link is insuranceuntangledcom/MSM. insuranceuntangledcom/MSM. Take that report and then decide what you want to do with it. Do you want to do something? And if you want us to help, we would love to. Or take that report and get your current marketing company to help you implement it. So that's our gift to you for the holiday season, and as we go into the new year. So I think this is coming out the first week of January 2nd. So I also want to take a minute to wish all of you guys and gals, an awesome 2024. And the link again is insuranceuntangledcom/MSM.
Awesome. Thanks, Naren. Thanks for all of our listeners coming and hanging out with us today for the show. If you like the show, go to our the app, wherever you're using, whether it's Apple or wherever. Write us a review, a love letter review, as Naren always says, and share it with some friends. We always appreciate that, getting the word out and helping more practice owners and people in the dental industry. So with that said, we hope you all have a rockin' day.